me and my arrow. Hi, Arrow.
Man, if you knew how many times I've had that song performed to me.
I bet, right? What is the derivation of Arrow? Where did that come from?
Oh, it was from a book that my wife wrote in 1981 in Lewistown, Montana, and we were looking for a great name for a man that owned a dingy, dark club. And I said, why don't you just call him Arrow? Just because it just has that kind of a vibe about it. And so I thought, well, man, that would also make a great radio name. Can I have it? We struggled on that idea because she thought it was hers.
Well, when you sign that contract, you know, everything's 50-50 at least. So,
you guys have released a book here that I'll tell you, I mean, I've read through it 4 times now, and inside my imagination, I'm going, okay, who's getting this for their birthday? Who's getting it for Christmas? Who's going to get, and there are many adults that I think deserve to have this book as well.
Yes, I agree. That is awesome. I love that. We just did a book signing, and I think we signed close to 1,000 books on the book launch day. And people were buying stacks of these. And to your point, they were like, "Oh, this one's for my kid's teacher. This is for my child. This one's for me. I love that one. I need this book."
Peter, I got to give you kudos on something. There's a page in here that has just watercolors. And I will sit there and just stare at that page because you're allowing me to take in those words without being distracted by, other pictures and stuff like that. I love the way that you allowed us to breathe.
Thank you. Yeah, I love watercolors. I mean, for me, actually, I use watercolors as a way to de-stress. Drawing in general helps me to relax. And, sometimes, with picture books, there's so much going on that you're distracted from the message. And so I knew from the outset this would have to be kind of sparse, but I love the way that watercolors, merge into each other. You get all these unexpected colors by, you throw a little yellow in and then magenta, and that starts seeping in, and it mixes, and yeah, it is very mesmerizing. So I'm glad you picked up on that one, Arrow.
Well, it's a book of art because, a lot of people don't understand that creativity is an addiction, and a book like this gives people that opportunity. Well, if it's not going right, where can I go? And you speak of creativity in this book, Marc.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it really. Do you know? I love that you picked up on that, Arrow, because going. Obviously, it's a clever title. When things aren't going right, go left. Of course, we don't mean, to really, take a left turn physically, right? But the left just means going in a different. Try something new. Try something that you weren't expecting, and that's what creativity is all about. And I think all the great artists and writers and filmmakers, they're like, how can I do this differently? Mm-hmm. Everyone's gone down this path, and this path isn't feeling right to me. And you know what? I'm gonna wing it, and I'm gonna go in this brand new direction. And that's where most breakthroughs in the arts come from. And also, frankly, business, even science and medicine. It's trying things in a new way. And hey, if it doesn't work, you've learned something, and then you can bring that back to your main path, the path that you're on. So, yeah, I think that this book is certainly about dealing with stress, but it is about sort of honing your creativity lenses and being able to see the world in a more generous way.
Well, for the two of you, one of the things that's fascinating about this book is that, first of all, you truly understand brevity in this book. I mean, and that's one thing that I've always tried to teach these young adults as well as children when it comes to creativity. Okay, so you don't like to read, then write me a story. You don't have to have a lot of words, and this book right here proves to you don't have to have a lot of words.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very heavy topic that's done in a very light and creative way. And it doesn't necessarily have to answer all the questions, but it's going to start a conversation between adults and children, which is the ultimate goal with anything that's written, especially in the children book world.
Yeah. And the TV show Name That Tune, do you remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's like, I can name that tune in 12 notes. And then they're like, well, I could name it in 10. I could name it in 6. For me, it's similar to if you're trying to write a book, like how few words do you need? And even for myself, I've actually, I've written stories where I take whole sentences out. because by the time you got the pictures in there, the pictures are going to do a lot of that heavy lifting. And it's like, do you know what? I don't need to say it because I'm showing it. And in fact, do you know what? Why don't I say something that they can't see? What is that character thinking? That which you might get a hint at, but with words you could probably make sure that everyone knows, yeah, this kid is really frustrated.
Yeah. You talk about conversation starting. You one of the subjects that you cover inside this book is individuality, and both of you being very creative people, you know that individuality is part of our path of creativity. Then we collaborate. I just think this is amazing that you're introducing this to parents as well as young creative people.
Yeah, I agree. It's the idea of the story was inspired by watching my children struggle during the pandemic with the distance learning. All those emotions really bubbled to the surface in a very intense way that I never really realized children could experience. So as a parent, that was a very heartbreaking but eye-opening experience. So I think it's important that parents like me, who weren't aware of that kids could experience such intense emotions, are starting to become keep more of an eye on that.
Mm-hmm. The two of you are working together. Listeners need to understand that, because I want them to be able to follow you, to really get into your journey together. And you've got a new book that's even coming out next year. I love the fact that authors do that. We're going to talk about this book right here. When things aren't going right, go left. But then you also say, hey, look, by the way, we're coming back next year or a little bit later on with a new book.
Absolutely. The hits keep coming.
Absolutely.
Actually, the very first project that Marc and I did, he shared this lovely poem he wrote for his kids, and it's called "The Reflection in Me." And Marc said, "Well, I think it'd be a great picture book," and he set out to make a picture book. But I reminded him that I have an animation company in Boston called Fablevision, and I said, I think it would make a great animated film. So we made an animated film. You can find it on YouTube. I think it's had well north of 1 million views and has traveled around the world in film festivals and won awards. And it's a lovely short film, animated film, Reflection in Me. And that was our first project was a film. This one is a book. Scholastic heard about Reflection in Me, and they said, do you think that would be a great picture book? And of course we were like, absolutely. So that's our next one, is to adapt the film into a book. So that's what, actually I've just started the sketching of that book right now. So that'll be coming out next year, right, Marc?
Yeah, next spring, I think.
And then meanwhile, Fablevision, my studio, is working on the animated film of the book, When Things Aren't Going Right, Go Left. So later this year, Scholastic Weston Woods, in partnership with Fablevision, will be releasing the animated film version. So Marc and I are going to get together and have a world premiere at the Dedham Community Theater in my hometown, right across from my bookstore, the Blue Bunny. And it's so much fun to bring people together around storytelling, and for kids and parents to leave the theater or leave reading, reading together, having been moved and feel better about the world.
Wow. Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for the two of you.
Oh, thank you,
Arrow.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
You as well.